Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo 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 Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devi Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet. Thank you very much. We're reading from Srimad Bhagavad-Gītā as it is, chapter 2, text number 18, 2.18. As everyone is already familiar, we are looking at Krishna's explanation that we're not this body, we're the soul. From text 18 up to about text 25, some 7 verses, well, including 18, it would become 8 verses. Krishna is going to say, well, since you're not the body, we should look at things from the viewpoint of the soul. You're not the body, so why? Sometimes it's seen as if Krishna is stressing again and again, you're not the body, all the way to text 39. But it's not exactly like that. It has a subdivision. And we're entering the subdivision where the consideration is, well, what should you do if you're not the body? The verse reads, Antavanta ime deha nityas yokta sharirina anashino aparameyasya tasmad yudhyasva bharata. So there's this point, tasmad. Tasmad means therefore. Therefore you should fight, yudhyasva. So we're going to discuss how did this come about, this therefore. But let's look at the previous part of the verse. Antavanta ime deha. All these ime deha, bodies, are antavanta. They are subject to being perish. So they're perishable. So what's perishable? What suggest to me what could be perishable? Huh? Yeah, other than the body, what could be perishable? What do you normally see as perishable?
Food is perishable. Flowers are perishable.
Flowers are perishable. Fruits, vegetables, okay, because they have a short lifespan. Their usefulness is for a limited time. It's not, you cannot keep them forever. So the deha, the useful time of the deha, the body, is small. It's not always going to be there. A fruit is not always going to exist for you. It's going to perish at some point. If you do not use it within, so there's an interesting point. Antavanta ime deha. The body has a shelf life. Nityasya ukta sharirina, as against the person who is within the body, the sharirina, who is within the body, he is not perishable. Anashina, he is not destroyed, and aprameyasya, is also immeasurable. So all of these points have some significance which we're going to go into. Let me read the translation. The material body of the indestructible, immeasurable and eternal living entity is sure to come to an end, antavanta. Therefore, fight. See? So this is an interesting point. Whether we can appreciate the connection. You can only fight before the body perishes. Do you understand? You cannot fight once the body has already had its shelf life, has expired. So that's why Prahlad Maharaj, when he says Komaram Acharet Pragyo, you should begin Krishna consciousness from the age of 5. Because remember, Krishna says Kaumaram Yovanam Jara. So that means the shelf life of a Kumar is only for so long. Not just your entire body, but each of those bodies we inhabit in this lifetime, they have a short lifespan. They have a short shelf life. So you have to take advantage of it while it's there, before it perishes. Before the fruit, the flower, the vegetable perishes, you have to make use of it. Once it's perished, it's no good. So therefore, Krishna says, fight. You can only fight while you have this deha. You cannot do it once it's perished. See, normally, because we don't pay attention, we just think he's repeating something he's already said before. Yes, he's repeating, but he's doing it with a conclusion. He's coming to a conclusion. Look, my dear Arjun, the body has a short shelf life. You're eternal, therefore fight. So something to think about there. Excuse me. Prabhupada makes that point in the beginning of his purport. The material body is perishable by nature. It may perish immediately or it may do so after 100 years. It is a question of time only. There is no chance of maintaining it indefinitely. So that's the significant point. If you're going to do something, do it while the body is available to you. I found this interesting myself when I was studying and little carefully. I was actually astounded that something I had once upon a time used to just gloss over. You just read and you think it's repetition. And when I started taking some trouble, and then I realized actually I was glossing over something very, very significant. How is the connection of therefore fight? Now, of course, let's take it further. Everyone is not Arjuna. Everyone's duty is not to fight. But it means there is a duty that is associated with each of your bodies, which you should use while the body has not perished, while it's still available. And Srila Prabhupada also says that he elaborates on the word aprameyasya. It's immeasurable. In Arjuna's case, it's significant that not only is the soul eternal, but even though he's fighting, the soul itself cannot be killed because it's immeasurable. In modern physics and mathematical terms, immeasurable is something like a point which is described as having 0 length and 0 breadth. You know, in other words, its dimension is 0, but it exists. This is very interesting. So such a small object, entity, how can it be killed with things that are measurable? Aprameyasya. And so Prabhupada concludes, so from both viewpoints there is no cause of lamentation. So on the one hand he should not lament, but on the other hand he should do his duty. Because on the one hand the soul cannot be killed, and the body is only there for some time. It's not going to there. Tasmat, therefore. So Prabhupada says, the minute particle of the whole, the spirit, acquires this material body according to his work, and therefore observance of religious principles should be utilized. So that's the point of Tasmat Yudyasava Bharata. The body is allowing us to do something. The fruit, before it perishes, you can get nourished. So the body, even though it's perishable, it has its use. It has usefulness. And here's another interesting part of the purport. And this ties in with the previous verse, where the word was avyayasya, of the soul which doesn't get exhausted. So Prabhupada says, as sunlight maintains the entire universe, so the light of the soul maintains this material body. So it's an interesting thing about light. Light is expending energy in the sense it is giving light. But as it's giving light, it doesn't actually expire. You see, if you think about it, it's interesting. Light it's giving light, but it doesn't actually expire. Like from there to here, it hasn't died. But while going from there to here, it has given light. So this kind of material, but so definitely, even though it's animating the body, it's actually maintaining the body, because as soon as the soul goes, the body cannot be maintained. But it doesn't expire, even though it has no length and no breadth, materially. It's very, this is going to tie in with the verse which is coming, Ascharyavat. How amazing is that? Krishna, in one sense, is telling us amazing information right now. And we should become amazed, because by the time the Ascharyavat verse comes, if you're not already amazed, that verse will not mean very much. Because you did not make the connection. You did not understand the significance. So, Prabhupada finishes the purport by saying the body itself is unimportant. Arjuna was advised to fight, and therefore, in parentheses therefore, to not sacrifice the cause of religion for material bodily considerations. So, here's the other point. How foolish is it that a person gives more importance to that which is perishable? It's almost like saying, I got to look after the fruit, the flower. Instead of using the fruit and the flower, you're looking after the fruit and the flower, which is going to perish. You see how topsy-turvy, perverted the whole thing is. Meaning, consideration of the body at any point in time cannot be and is not as important as that of the soul. The fruit is not important. You should eat the fruit. You should nourish before it becomes useless, perishes. So, of course, we're not talking about the fruit. Krishna is not talking about the fruit. He's talking about the body, but what is the utility of the body? Tasmat yudyasva. To do the duty, your duty with the body. So Prabhupada uses the word, the cause of religion, to not sacrifice the cause of religion for a bodily consideration. In other words, to not sacrifice the cause of the soul for the body. This actually makes a lot of sense. It's actually a very cogent argument. It's a very nice, it's very perfect. You see. And this, again, I just want to express that it was for me a nice discovery that all these so-called repetitive verses apparently actually were not repetitive. It's the same reputation I have experience of from many mouths, that Srila Prabhupada is always repeating himself. You're not the body, you're the soul. And then the same thing really is being attributed to Krishna, that he's going to say, well, you're not the body. So let's go to the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. That's where, actually, I was amazed to find there is so much significance. And so let's go to text 19. Now in this verse, we could give a title to this, which is that all the things that apply to the body do not apply to the soul. All the things that apply to the perishable fruit, the flower, the vegetable, they don't apply to the soul. That apply to the perishable body don't apply to the soul. Ya enam beti hantaram, ya chainam manyate hatam, ubhav tau na vijanito, na ayam hanti na hanyate. Neither he who thinks the living entity the slayer, nor he who thinks it slain, is in knowledge, for the self slays not, nor is slain. The significance here is that we shouldn't take the fears we attach to the body to the soul. They don't apply. In other words, when you're doing your duty, tasmat yudhyasva bharata, when you're doing your duty, you don't have to have that fear. With the body, there's a lot of fear. In this situation, the body may suffer, may die, may harm somebody else. So all of this is a mistake. Na vijanito. That person is not in knowledge. The word was used, manyate, he who thinks, he who has this idea. This is what he means by bodily concept of life. He has this thinking, he has he's convinced like this, because he's transposing his bodily things onto the soul. And in other words, the soul is not. See, sometimes somebody say, okay, I thought I was the bottle, but actually I turned out to be this bag. But so the bottle might have suffered. Okay, I shouldn't be worried about it. But the bag might suffer. No, the bag, in this case the soul, does not suffer like the other item. We're too conditioned about the body. We always think it might suffer, harm somebody else. But actually, the soul is neither killed nor can kill. Na ayam hanti, na hanyate. Neither he can kill, nor is he killed. So, it's a change of consciousness going on. So again, really, Krishna is not repeating. He's trying to explain a very subtle point. For those who are listening, it says so much more. So Prabhupada says in the purport that the spirit soul is immeasurably small, that it is impossible to kill him by any material weapon. And then he says, nor is the living entity killable, because he has a different constitution. In other words, even if you said, okay, I've got the soul, I'm going to kill it, but it's not killable. by dimension nor by its constitution can it be killed. Then Prabhupada ends the purport by a small caution. Ma hinsayat sarva bhutani. Just because the soul cannot be killed is not license to go and kill everyone's body. So the fruit is perishable doesn't mean I should go and destroy all the fruits in the market. Does that make sense? The fruit is perishable, but it doesn't follow that you now have a license to destroy all perishable goods. You see? So sometimes people, it's a very foolish argument. Oh, Krishna is giving license for killing, you know. Prabhupada says no. And Prabhupada specifically mentions never commit violence to anyone, but he says nor does it encourage animal slaughter. Especially those who are addicted to eating meat through the process of animal slaughter. This is one of their arguments. But really the argument is false, so it's called fallacious. It's not a valid argument. Sometimes devotees become a little afraid if such a challenge is raised. But actually there's no ground for fear. Because you have to remember, and you have to have good examples in your mind. Well, fruits are perishable. Therefore, does it mean everyone has a license to go and destroy them? No. The body will die. Does it mean you should commit abortion? No. It doesn't mean any of that. But it is perishable. And the more significant point about the perishability is that it should be used properly before it perishes. That's the real point. And Prabhupada ends the purport by this nice statement: killing the body of anyone without authority is abominable and is punishable by the law of the state as well as by the law of the Lord. Arjuna, however, is being engaged in killing for the principle of religion and not whimsically. In other words, in Arjuna's case, before the body perishes, he should utilize it for the cause of religion, for the cause of the soul, by killing his enemy. In his case, it happens to be. Just like what is the situation of a cook who is holding a vegetable? To cook it. You see, that's his duty. So the cook cannot say, oh, it's perishable, but no, the cook has license to. You cannot vandalize the vegetables whimsically, but a cook has authority to cut it properly and cook it. The cook, because the vandal is forbidden doesn't mean the cook is forbidden. Because you're forbidden from killing whimsically living entities, animals, for eating their flesh, doesn't mean the soldier should not kill. The soldier must kill. Is that good? Is that, see, you shouldn't be doing it, you shouldn't be understanding it in a defensive mood. You shouldn't be thinking, oh, this is one of our weak points, and the vegans are going to get us. You know? We can't touch milk. The cow is sent for. That's a perishable good which you should utilize. Have you had this experience with the vegans? How many of you don't know what is a vegan? Do not know what is a vegan? Vegan. Vegetarians who will also not take milk products. Because their accusation is that, it is harming the cow. What is harming the cow is not utilizing it properly. And therefore the cows go unprotected. Anyway, just a small point. I normally do not go on a tangent. It's not much of a tangent, but just to explain. In other words, actually it's an exercise all students should do. they should think of examples that fit what Krishna is trying to say here. It's very good. Good exercise. Text 20. Na jayate mriyate va kadachin. Na ayam bhutva bhavita va na bhuya. Aja nitya shashvato ayam purana. Na hanyate hanyamane sharire. So this verse has some very significant words here. Kadachit, Prabhupada says, at any time, past, present or future. So Krishna is saying something. Sometimes some people say, have you heard of this phenomena where it was true at that time, but it's not true today because things have changed? Have you heard like this phenomena? Right? In the time of Srila Prabhupada, it was true then to do, but now things have changed, so okay. So Kadachit, Krishna is saying, okay, don't do that. This, what I'm about to tell you, is not valid today when I'm speaking to you in the battlefield. It was valid before, past, on the battlefield, and it'll remain valid 10 million years from today and all the time in between and after. All the time. See, sometimes, even Krishna is aware that even at his time, somebody will say, well, it was true at the time Krishna spoke to Arjuna, but now, we have cars, we have aeroplanes, these things are different now. Now it may not be. So what is it? What is this being said? Bhutva bhavita va bhuya. Three things. That it ever came into being, it comes into being, or will begin to come into being. What? The soul. So the soul is not, again, see, because now Krishna is making the distinction, it's not like the body. The body did come into being, is coming into being, and will continue to come into being. Soul is not, he's making a distinction, he's helping us understand the difference by comparison. Opam yena. Opam yena means you look at this and you look at this and you compare. This one has these qualities with this one does not. Does not. So the body did, but no, the soul doesn't. Specifically, the soul doesn't. Aja nitya shashvata ayam purana. So he gives four qualities straight away that the soul does have. Okay, did not come into being, so what is it? It's unborn. It did not have a beginning. It is eternal, shashvata, permanent. Now the shashvata word is interesting. Now, again, if we're glossing over, we think, really, these are just synonyms for one another. But there's a subtle difference. Shashvata, it actually also means perpetual. Perpetual is a very interesting word. Something can be eternal, but perpetual imparts another kind of nuance that while it's eternal, is still making its presence felt. Just like I told you, the light, even though it doesn't die from emanating from there, reaching here, but while it's at any stage of that journey, at any point it's perpetual. Its existence is there. Not only the starting point and the end point, but even in between. At every moment. So you can't say there's a moment when the soul may not have been there. You see? So it's interesting, something to meditate. So it has a continuing existence. And Purana. So in the those who are overcome by the sense of time, past, present and future, well, in that dimension, in that way of looking at things, the soul is old, Purana. And finally, Nahanyate, it cannot be killed. Hanyamani, when the body is killed. Hanyamani sharire. For the soul, ayam, there is neither birth nor death at any time. That's the kadachit. He has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. He is unborn, eternal, ever existing, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. See, the interesting thing there is actually, it says Hanyamani Sharire, the body is slain. The body will be slain. There's no doubt about it. This thing will die. It will be slain. So it's very interesting if you pay attention to each of the words carefully. So Prabhupada is going to go through this comparison a little more. Qualitatively, the small atomic fragmental part of the Supreme Spirit is one with the Supreme. Qualitatively, the atomic fragmental part is one with the whole. And the fragmental Supreme Spirit is one with the whole Supreme. He undergoes no changes like the body. In other words, like the Supreme Lord does not undergo, the soul also does not undergo changes like the body. Krishna is not material, the soul is also not. Sometimes the soul is called the steady, kutastha, immovable. Kutastha means immovable or unchangeable. And so, in other words, it does not undergo the changes that the body is subject to. The body is subject to 6 kinds of transformations. That means the kutastha is not subject to these, which are the body, it takes its birth. 2, it remains for some time, it grows, produces some byproducts, dwindles, and at last vanishes. The body, the perishable, this is what all the perishable items have this in common, 6 qualifications. The soul, however, does not go through such changes. And so Srila Prabhupada, see, he's written the purport in a very interesting way. Each of those 6 changes, he is going to show how the soul is not subject to each of them. Okay? So in the purport he says the soul, addressing number 1, the soul is not born because the soul because the soul takes on a material body, the body takes its birth, but not the soul. Right? Then he addresses number 6. After number 1, he addresses number 6. The soul does not take birth there. The soul does not die. Well, that was number 6. Vanishes. So anything which has birth also has death. Kadachit. Then he says, and because the soul has no birth, he therefore has no past, present, or future. At any point in time, this does not happen. And then he addresses number 2. That the body, the perishable thing, stays for some time. He says, he is eternal, the soul is eternal, ever existing and primeval. That is, there is no trace in history of his coming into being. So Prabhupada makes this sub-note that it's only under the impression of the body we look for the history of the birth of the soul. This is where this question comes up. Where did we come from? It presupposes this idea, just like where did the body come from? So you meet somebody, you say, where are you from? Which country are you from? When were you born? But you can't ask this of the soul. Because aja nitya shashvata ayam purana. It means there has no such history. Then he addresses the third point. It does not grow. The soul does not at any time become old as the body does, even though he is Purana. In other words, even though he is the oldest, he actually does not age. And Prabhupada gives the example that why the so-called old man feels himself to be in the same spirit as in his childhood or youth. the changes of the body do not actually affect the soul. He addresses number 5. The soul does not deteriorate like a tree, nor anything material. In other words, it does not dwindle. And then the final point was number 4, that the soul has no byproduct either. So people sometimes they think, oh, here's the culprit. He just jabbed me. Big guy, wasn't it?
Yeah, he's big. Have you seen him?
Humongous. So the soul has no byproduct. Sometimes people think, they become so obsessed with another living entity, they think there is some eternal bond, soulmate. It's a foolish idea. It's a bodily idea which is being superimposed on the soul. The soul itself has no such byproducts. So although we may be overwhelmed with affection and attachment, it's a bodily situation, not the soul. The byproducts of the body, namely children, are also different individual souls. And owing to the body, they appear as children of a particular man. They are not your soul children. All that happened was that you facilitated this separate soul to come by being the parent. But they're not actually your byproducts. Just like my nail is my byproduct, but it's of the body. The soul has no such byproducts. The body, Prabhupada writes, develops because of the soul's presence, but the soul has neither offshoots nor change. Therefore, the soul is free from the 6 changes of the body. See, Srila Prabhupada's purport is amazing. He's systematic. He doesn't leave anything out. He doesn't gloss over. He systematically explains all the things, all the attributes of the perishable goods, fruits, flowers, vegetables, and the body, and how the soul is, in each of those 6 points, is different, is the opposite. Now Prabhupada addresses in the purport, he takes the opportunity of quoting a similar verse from Katha Upanishad, and he uses that because it has one word different from this verse given by Lord Krishna, and that's vipaschin. In the Katha Upanishad, we also find a similar passage which reads, Na jayate mriyate va vipaschin, nayam putaschin na babhuvaj kaschit, aja nitya shashvato ayam purana nahanyate hanyamani sharire. The meaning and purport of this verse is the same as in the Bhagavad-Gītā, but here in this verse there is one special word, vipaschit, which means learned or with knowledge. Where did I discuss this? It may not have been Bhagavad-Gītā class, I'm forgetting, but I think it was. I had to explain chit. Somebody asked me, what's the difference? Yeah, it was right here, Bhagavad-Gītā discussion. What is consciousness? Okay, so the soul is full of knowledge. In other words, full always with consciousness. So see this word vipaschit, chit. The vipaschit is a compound of the root word chit. Therefore, consciousness is the symptom of the soul. In other words, it doesn't have the 6 qualities of the body, but it has a quality of its own. That's chit, vipaschit. Consciousness is a symptom of the soul. Even if one does not find the soul within the heart where he is situated, one can still understand the presence of the soul simply by the presence of consciousness. Because separate from the soul, you cannot find consciousness in any object. It's purely an attribute of the soul. So Prabhupada then gives the example that, well, what's the big deal about saying we can't find it? Well, sometimes you can't find the sun in the sky. right now, at this point in time, we don't know where exactly in the sky the sun is. So, owing to the clouds, or some other reason. But the light of the sun is always there. And we're convinced, therefore, it is there for day. And we are convinced that it is there for daytime. So, that's the example. Similarly, there is some consciousness in all bodies. Now Prabhupada is referring not just to human, but any species of life. Whether man or animal, we can understand the presence of the soul. Because there is consciousness within each of those bodies. Then Prabhupada makes a distinction that because you have consciousness does not mean that you are supreme. This consciousness of the soul is, Prabhupada writes, however, different from the consciousness of the Supreme because the Supreme's consciousness is all knowledge, past, present and future. The consciousness of the individual soul is prone to be forgetful. So there's a distinction between the consciousness of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and of the individual soul. One is subject to forgetfulness, the other one is not. And Prabhupada then takes advantage of saying that because we are forgetful, we need to take advantage of the lessons given by Lord Krishna through Bhagavad-Gītā. And then he says, if Krishna is not like the forgetful soul, if he were, Krishna's teachings of Bhagavad-Gītā would be useless. And so he again elaborates on the fact, giving a quotation from Katha Upanishad, that there are two kinds of souls. Anor aniyan mahato mahiyan atmasya janto nihito guhayan tam akratu pashyati vita shoko dhatu prasadan mahimanam atmana. So there are certain glories. It's a very beautiful language that both the supersoul, the mahata, and the atomic soul, the anu, are situated on the same tree of the body, atamasya janto, within the same heart of the living being, nihita guhayam. And only one who has become free from all material desires, as well as lamentations, vita shoka, can, by the grace of the Supreme, understand the glories of the soul. So here's the interesting point. Prabhupada is actually saying that if you want to take advantage of Bhagavad-Gītā, you have to become free from material desires, as well as lamentation. The madness of bodily gratification must subside. Then, by the grace of the Lord, the Bhagavad-Gītā, the instruction, the lessons will be revealed to us. Prasadan, the word is prasadan, it's like mercy. You're able to take advantage of the mercy Krishna is giving. But if you're not tired, this ties in with that verse earlier on, Bhoga Aishwarya Prasaktanam Teya Pritachetas. I'm sorry, the verse yet to come. Verse yet to come, text 45. Bhoga Aishwarya Prasaktanam. Where you're mad by bhoga to enjoy, then you can't take advantage. And this is being said in this verse from the Katha Upanishad also, that you cannot know the prasad, the mercy, the mahima, the glories of the Supreme, unless you are vita shoka, you are free from lamentation and material desires. Krishna is the fountainhead of the Supersoul also, as it is. In other words, this was a description of the Supersoul, and Krishna is the fountainhead of the Supersoul also, as it will be disclosed in the following chapters. And Arjuna is the atomic soul, forgetful of his real nature. Therefore, he requires to be enlightened. He, the forgetful one, we are forgetful, requires to be enlightened by Krishna or by his bona fide representative, the spiritual master. Thank you very much for your patience. Are there any questions?
Krishna says that. So Krishna says in this verse, na anyate anyamane sharire, that the soul is not slain and is not slaying either. So, and why is not slaying? Because actually material nature is doing the work of slaying, because there is something being slain, as you said, that the body is slain. But
you please go ahead with your question, but I just want to clarify. The phrase na hanyate hanyamani sharire actually means it does not die when the body is killed. It's not killed when the body is killed.
Yes.
When, in other words, the body will be killed at some point, but the soul is not killed at that time.
Yes. So yainam viti hantaram yaschenam manyatyatam. Yes. It is another verse.
Yes, the one previous to that.
Yes, it is another verse. So the point that the soul is not slaying is because the soul is not the doer. It's like because the material nature is doing. Well,
in the purport, perhaps I think you came a little late.
Yes.
In the purport, Prabhupada writes there are two reasons why it's not slain. Aprameyasya and anashina. Aprameyasya means it doesn't have material dimension. It has no length, no breadth, but it exists. In other words, material weapons which have dimension, how can they hit something that has no dimension?
Yes, this is not what I'm saying.
No, just to clarify something.
Okay.
And anashina means that it cannot be killed by constitution because it's a different substance. Now your point is the killing is being done by material nature.
Okay.
That was your point.
Yes.
I said please carry on with your question.
Yes, because
I just wanted to clarify that.
Yes, because Krishna says two things in this verse. He says, one, that the soul is not slaying, is not the slayer. One, and two, that the soul is not slain.
When the body is slain.
When the body is slain. So, what you just commented is the soul cannot be slain, of course, because it is another.
That's exactly what was in the purport.
Yes, but the other one, that the soul is not the slayer.
But the material energy is, you were saying.
Yes,
right.
But this Prabhupada doesn't.
Right. So like it has been said in so many classes now, this is the contents of the Gita summarized. In other words, whatever is being said here is going to get elaborated. How the slaying takes place.
Yeah.
Material energy does the slaying. Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasha. Everything is happening by material nature in the material world. But the living entity who is deluded, he's thinking I'm the doer. So that's an elaboration on this point.
Yes.
Later on.
Yes, this is correct.
Right. But here the core point is being made. That never mind what the living entity is thinking. Manyate, I think you were referring to the word manyate, that he thinks that, where was that?
Because it looks like it is from two different angles of philosophy. That, of course, the soul cannot be slain, because the soul is not, you cannot touch the soul, so how can you slay? But that the soul is not the slayer is for another reason, because in one sense the soul is responsible for the activities of the body in some understanding.
It's like this. There's a very deep connection, definitely. But there's also a very clear distinction. In other words, what the soul does within the body has an impact not only on the body but the situation of the soul. Not the soul proper, but he will be trapped in a new body. You see? So that's called the laws of karma. Now they're not being addressed right now.
No.
But they're going to be.
Later.
Right. I mean, do we really have to make the distinction today?
No.
I mean, see, today we want to kind of focus on the fact that we are thinking I'm the body. Just to hold on to this point for a moment. For now, it's a pretty good point. And we're superimposing the bodily idea on the soul. Krishna said, okay, you know you're the soul. So, like I said, but somebody might think the soul may also have the qualities like the body. It may perish. It
History. Prabhupada says may have a history, but it doesn't have a history.
Right. Right. So this, just like hold that thought. It's quite deep. It's quite significant. We don't want to like brush it away and say, no, Prakriti. Right now, Krishna is not rushing. He wants Arjuna, he wants us to just digest this. Just like some people have difficulty digesting. So a good doctor who knows how to improve somebody's digestion, he said, just eat this. He says, no, the cake. No, just eat this now. Just eat something that will get the fire of digestion. We need to know this distinction. Then by the time we come to Prakriti, we remember that I and my body are different. And how the material energy is controlling the body. But it's controlling me too, because I'm trapped in the body. Until I am liberated, I'm influenced, I'm affected by these laws of karma. So everything is interesting. But this part is also interesting. Not only what is to come, but right now. It's quite good. See, if you allow me, I'll summarize my own little class in 2 sentences. If I'm not the body, what is my duty? See, that's it. Just hold that. That's what it was, these verses. Up to text 25, we have covered up to 21, right? Only because of time. Tomorrow this class is not here, it's next week, Friday, I believe. Mataji, is it next week Friday? Next Friday. So, up to 25, Krishna is going to continue this comparison, but explaining what should I be doing if I'm not the body. Because remember, up to now, we're only doing things because thinking I'm the body. So a new thing has started. Bhagavad-Gītā has started. Something wonderful has started. Let's stick with the theme, Okay, any other? Sorry, Prabhuji, I hope it was okay, or
Yes.
not okay then?
No, it's okay. Because every time I read this verse, since many years, there is something that looks little like I don't understand very well. It looks like Krishna speaks about the soul is not the slayer, the soul is not slain.
So what's the question then? There's some question that comes to your mind.
Yeah, because it looks to me like a little mysterious. Why Krishna formulates in that way? Because the reason why the soul is not slain.
Okay, I can answer that, because we did say this in class. Because the body is a slain.
Yes?
No. Here, it's an answer. It's the answer to what you're raising. You said it's a little mysterious why the mention that the soul is not slain and when the body is slain. The answer is the body is a slain. So therefore, Krishna is saying, well, because it's slain, you will not be slain. Bhishma will not be slain. But the body will be slain. It must be slain. Hanyamane, it must die. Okay.
Doesn't matter.
Okay, well.
And
Chalo, is there any other?
yes, the soul is qualified as Purana.
Yeah.
And there is another verse in 8th chapter, Kavim Puranam
Yeah.
Manusasitaram, where Krishna himself is saying, this is how you should meditate on me.
Yes.
Kavim Puranam
Yeah.
Manusasitaram. And
Adhyatma nitya vinivritta kama.
no, Kavim Puranam Anusasitaram. No, no.
Beg your pardon? Ano.
Anusmaridya. Yes, exactly. So Krishna says that I am Purana, you should meditate on me as Purana, the oldest. And here Krishna qualified the soul
As Purana.
as Purana also.
Yes.
So both are Purana.
Yes. So Prabhupada in the purport said that both are consciousness also, but one is Ano, small, the other one is Vibhu, great. One is prone to forgetfulness, the other one is not. In the purport, just we read.
Yes.
Okay? So even though we're both Puranas, Krishna and the soul, there is a distinction. The part shares the qualities of the whole, but there's a distinction of part and the whole. Does that not make sense?
No.
Yeah.
One thing is, to me, it looks like we emanate from Krishna. So
Yes, but the point in the purport was we should not think of when we emanated.
no.
No.